So what we're seeing on our end is a lack of inventory. And you guys can show emoji hands or just a hand up in the screen. Are you guys seeing the same thing already? Okay. And if you were at the Live Agent Academy, something Tom spoke to was this. The people that are sitting on the sidelines right now that are waiting to hop in, I think Tom said he has a couple hundred pre-approved buyers right now. And so there's a bunch of pre-approved buyers standing on the side of the pool waiting for rates to drop so that they can hop in the pool. And so when rates dip a little bit, what's going to happen if everybody tries to jump in the pool at the same time? Right? We're going to go back to the same thing of multiple bids, no contingencies, no seller's assist, over asking. And Tom and I were talking last week. What's the percentage of people that regretted buying a home during that time period? Does anybody know that number? You could throw it in the chat or just unmute yourself.
17%.
April, it was like 40%.
Oh, well, I'm being optimistic.
Yeah, I like it. I'm an optimist too. But it was 40% of the people regretted that competitive situation where they're at. So what we've been telling everybody that we're talking to is go get your house now and get a good purchase price, right? And so the way the market looks with Fannie and Freddie are projecting is that rates are going to drop. So once rates drop, for every customer that's closing with us right now, we set a trigger that automatically emails them when that rate's available that they want. And we also give them a refrigerator magnet. The stick on your refrigerator says, look, when rates get to this rate, which is your dream rate, we're going to refinance you, waive our lender fees, and make sure that you're being taken care of. Because most lenders, once you close, they just forget about you. And we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that they're not overpaying that rate for too long and paying tens, if not thousands of dollars more in interest than they really should be. But with a lack of inventory, there's a few things that we've seen and heard from agents and from the own research that I've been doing myself that we feel like you can go find off-market deals for your buyers, right? So some of the things we're going to cover today is how do you find those off-market deals? How do you get those listings? The two apps we're going to talk about are PropStream and Batch Leads. Essentially, they're the same thing. You just got to pick the one you want to work with if you want to do this. And the question is, how many diets are there out there? How many diet plans are there? Right? Millions. Which ones work? The one you use, right? So just pick one, make a decision, and use it. Now, my dad growing up, he was an iron worker, illiterate. And I say that because I love him, but at the same time, he wasn't like this sensei. But he always said to me, he goes, hey boy, make a decision even if it's wrong. And I didn't understand the wisdom in that, is that there's more time and money lost on indecision than just making a bad decision, knowing it's the wrong one, and then go making the right one. So oftentimes people will sit there and prep for way too long before they make a decision. And then we're going to talk about door knocking. Has anybody here door knocked in the past?
Yep.
A fan of it? Did you have any success with it?
No.
Okay. Anybody have any success door knocking? Nobody had any success. Okay. We'll talk about door knocking and why door knocking. And then we'll talk about KPIs. So you have to know your numbers. And for our team, we know our numbers. Like we know how many applications we take. We know on average how many people don't qualify based on credit score, work history, something to that. And then we know how many we close. So we know it's a numbers game. And then the leave behinds. What are you going to leave behind if you're knocking on doors? Can we go to the next
impression?
What's that?
An impression.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm eating my breakfast.
No, that's good. I appreciate you participating. And feel free, everybody, to unmute and chime in because the power's in the group, right? It's not me standing here lecturing. It's always getting feedback from people that have done it and speaking up from the room. So what I did here is we clipped a little short video. I think it's like two and a half minutes. This is PropStream. And instead of me just talking about it, I'm the type of person that if I see it or hear it, it's much better than if I just read about it or somebody lectures me on it. So we're going to play this short clip just to get an idea of what PropStream looks like and some of the things that it can do for you.
From here, you will be able to see the same details as you would on our.
You guys hear this?
At the very top, on the black bar, you'll see the property's address, APN, property characteristics. You'll also be able to tag using the tag icon at the very top. You can apply a status, such as you followed up or the owner's not interested, maybe an offer was accepted. You can tag the property. Maybe it had tall grass, maybe overgrown lawn, maybe you spoke to the owner. You can apply notes, and you can assign this to a team member. Once you've completed that, go ahead and hit apply down below, and your tags will be successfully stored, and these tags will be shown on your desktop application. And then the heart icon. This will allow you to favorite the property, which will be stored in your favorite section. Now, below the black bar, you will see any MLS photos that we have, and by swiping left or right, you will be able to go through those photos. Below the photos, you will have the same details as you are familiar with our desktop version. The details, this will allow you to see the details of the property, from the property details to any other transactional situations, like a cash sale, or if the property is on the MLS, tax information, transaction history. Documents are also purchasable, so feel free to go ahead and purchase any documents within the platform. Now, if you would like to see more details, go ahead and click on the black bar at the very top, and that will take away the photos and allow you to see more property details. You may also turn your phone horizontally, and it will provide you more detailed information as well. To the right of details, you'll have the ability to run comps right on the spot using our public records, MLS, or both. Feel free to use our filters, which is located just to the right of the both option. You can also view and print reports as well. You have the ability to look at the opportunity. This shows you estimated equity, mortgage information, and any potential liens that may be associated to the property. You have the ability to skip trace the property. You have the ability to send postcards to the mailing address as well. We have documents that you can purchase through the mobile app, such as the comparative market analysis or the property comps. You can get directions to that property. And finally, you can share that property to a team member or an external user. Again, any property that you mark as a favorite will be stored in the favorite section. Now let's talk about our unique drive feature. This feature will allow you to set filters and drive to properties that meet specific criteria within your radius. Let me show you how this works. I'm going to go ahead and hit set filters and drive. And now I'll be given the same filters you're already familiar with on our desktop. So here, I'll be able to craft a motivated sellers list or buyers list that I'm interested in driving to within a certain radius around my current position. So let's do that. I'm going to look for an owner-occupied property that's occupied. It has a lien on that property. It's a residential single-family property. It's currently off market. It's been owned for the last 10 years or more by an individual who has about 50% in equity or more. I also can control the radius here at the very top. So I can look for a 15-mile radius, 10-mile radius, 1-mile radius. So here we're going to do a 10-mile radius. Once I've applied my filters and my radius, I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And PropStream is going to go ahead and look for those properties within your radius. And so if I zoom out on the map here, you can see that these are the results within my area in a 10-mile radius that fit that specific criteria. And you can see the numbers on the screen, and those numbers reflect the results here in the result area down below. Now, the idea here are these are the properties that you may not have realized that they are potential leads. As you can see, some of them are in really, really good condition here. But the idea with this feature is you can piggyback off of PropStream's data, build a list, look for leads in a certain radius, as I did here. And if one of them catches your eye, like number 5, you can now click on it, view the details, run comps, look at the opportunity. You can skip trace, send postcards, look at documents and images, or you can go ahead and just get directions straight to that property. And finally, you can go ahead and share it. Once you've completed your drive route, you can go ahead and hit end. Proption will ask you if you would like to save this drive. Go ahead and decide to do so. Name that drive, hit save down below, and we're going to store that in your more section. From here,
Oops, sorry.
Good. So any questions about what you just saw? Does anybody have any questions about that? So the one thing I want to say, does everyone here know what skip tracing means?
I think I do, Jeff. Why don't you go ahead and define it for me, please?
Yep. So skip tracing, what it'll do is it'll search public records to give you the phone numbers and emails for the homeowner of that address.
Okay.
Right. The other thing it does for you is it scrubs it for the do not call list so that you're not getting fined. And it also scrubs it for people that filed litigation on the do not call list so that you're not calling them as well. Right. So they may not be listed as do not call, but they had filed lawsuits. So they're not going to give you their numbers as well, or they're going to flag them for you so that you don't.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then you heard some of the parameters that he was setting in this example for motivated buyers. And Scott Cooper on our team had dug into PropStream a little bit on those filters. So one of the filters was pre-foreclosure or pre-probate. That's a tough word to say, pre-probate. And so why would those lists be good lists to grab or a good list to market to?
Well, because they're distressed properties are about to become distressed properties, so they're going to need somebody to get it sold before they go into foreclosure.
Right. They're motivated, right?
Mhm.
And Scott, can you speak to some of the stuff that they can filter by?
Yeah, so the interesting thing is it not only pulls information from the MLS, it pulls information from public record. And you can filter by any of those, and you can stack the filters. So you could look for someone that meets the MLS information that you want. You want a 2,400 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but you want it to be pre-probate, which means that somebody on the deed has passed away, pre-foreclosure, you know, that's ready to go into foreclosure, has tax liens on the property, is owned by someone that recently filed for divorce, you know, or just how many years they've lived in the property. If they've lived in the property 20 years, maybe they're more likely to sell than someone that bought the house a year ago, or how much equity they have in the property. So you can filter by all of those, and you can also stack the filters to add more than one thing to the filter.
And one of the things that Tom on our team, when he bought his home in South Carolina, I went down and we sat with the realtor that he worked with, and it was in a low inventory environment. And we said to her, we go, how are you being so successful in this market when there's no inventory? And her answer was, well, if my buyer doesn't find a home that they want on the MLS in a short period of time, I tell them to go pick the house they love, whether it's for sale or not. And she's like, and combined with some other stuff that I've watched, 2020 and the past 3 years have been good for some people, but not good for some people as well. The other thing is most homeowners don't realize how much their homes have appreciated in value over these past 3 years. So for my mom, for example, if you knocked on her door and said, Phyllis, how much do you think your home was worth? She's going to tell you 80,000, but it's really worth 185. Now, if you had somebody that was in a bad situation and you tell them you have a buyer in the 180 range, they may love you because they may be able to pay off the bad debt that they have, reduce down to renting for a minute until they get back on their feet, and then call you when they're ready to buy a home. And then in the meantime, you just got your buyers the home that they want. And so that's what she was doing in South Carolina, but with me picking up and seeing this prop stream in batch leads, it just makes it easier for you to get the information that you need to make the text, the postcards, or the phone call. And the other thing is this, the average person used to move every 4 to 7 years. That shifted after COVID to more like 8 to 10. Right. So when they put timeframes on, like Tom or Scott was just saying 20 years, if you put an 8 to 10 year time frame, that's typically when people are ready to move. Any questions on this slide here? And this next one is batch leads. And I just wanted to show you how easily he pulls up a list and then he can text them immediately.
Back to properties again. I'm going to then do this again. I'm then going to go to start SMS.
Yep.
And I'm going to say campaign name foreclosure. And I'm going to say October 10th.
Yep. And
Okay.
then optional there. And your template is where you're going to type your message.
Okay, template. New template. Here we go. Driving for deals. Triple digit. How about that?
Perfect. So add your message here, leave that as day one because you want that to send out right away. And type your message here. And if you scroll down, there's even some autofill that you might want to use since you're texting all 295. You could use like the first name of the owner so that it will just address them by the first name. That's the one I would suggest.
I'm just going to say I don't want the full name, just
Yeah,
first
first.
name. And then I'm going to say my name is Pace.
Yeah, perfect. You can type it out yourself too.
I don't care. I mean, I know a lot of people are like, I don't want people to know my real name. I want people to know my real name. Watch me. My name is Pace.
Have a street address autofill too, so you can say, hey, I was looking at whatever, 123 Main Street kind of thing, if you wanted to.
Noticed. I'm going to say notice the county as your home on the foreclosure list. How can I help you keep your home? Now, this is a strategy I use. Guys, I'm not going to deep dive into this. I'll do a whole video on like why this works. How can I help you keep your home? Because a lot of people will say, well, why are you, if you're trying to buy somebody's house, why would you try and help them keep it?
Right.
Well, first off, it actually is different than what anybody else is texting you. And we are coming from an attitude of servitude. How can we truly help you? What's really going on? Why are you in foreclosure, right? We help a lot of people in this situation.
Oh, just barely too short, too long.
How about that? We help a lot of people in Arizona. Boom.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So I can save the template. That's dope.
Perfect.
So I'm
Now
going to
select
click on
it.
that template and
So press
now what do I
save
do?
template one more time.
okay, save
Press the
template.
circle on the right to select it. There we go. Perfect. Now you can just press save campaign and shoot that out. And guys, just so you guys know, it does cost credits to send text messages. So just like Pace purchased those earlier, if you do want to get going with texting, you'll get some credits in there first too.
Okay, what do I do?
All right, and it should have already texted them. So go over to your messages. Let's see if those sent out. I should have done it. So go to your campaigns, the little megaphone,
Mhm.
and click on SMS. Okay, so it says that it's been sent out. It may take a couple minutes. Right.
Oh, it says finished.
Yeah, so it should have.
So that's it? That's how easy it is to send
How
text
easy it is.
295 people in foreclosure?
So all you have to do is start waiting for those text messages to come in and people are like, might take a little
Wow.
while for that to completely send
Wow,
out.
wow, 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 wow.
It's that easy.
Okay, so that's it.
That's it.
Any questions on that one? Can anybody see that being useful for you?
Yep.
And the thing is, you can connect your phone number to whatever number they assign you to text from, so that the text responses come right to your phone. And then this screen we put in here is just to show you the bottom of it. I know it's really small print, but we just want to give you kind of an idea of what you can search by or filter by. And from left to right, it's, equity, is it free and clear, company owned, absentee owners, MLS, inherited, pre-foreclosure, cash buyers, tired landlords, vacant. So there's a ton of filters and search options that you can use to narrow down the search that you're looking for. And then the next slide. And so, is everybody familiar with the texting legislation that's already been put in place? Okay. So for texting, you're going to have to get people to opt in to receiving text messages from you. Otherwise, you're going to get fined, just like the Can Spam Act of emails back in the day. I know of a few people that already got fined for texting. So that's coming down the pipe. And then mass text right now, what we've seen over the past 2 years is they get filtered. So we used to send mass text out and they're not getting through. And, there's a few people on the call like, hey, did you get this text? And I'm like, I did not get it. And that's when we do these classes or those kind of things to let everyone know. So I'm not sitting there texting each person at one time and taking a full day to send out one text message to say we're having a class. And a lot of them are being filtered. There's spam filters on texting, mass texting, just like there is on emails nowadays. And also they're given fines. So we were talking about door knocking, because it's coming back. And I know of a few people locally that already have done door knocking successfully. And is everyone here familiar with Ricky Carruth? He's a real estate agent. He's in the South. He's probably, he's like one of the top real estate agents in the country. And if you're not following him, I would follow him on social media or YouTube. Yeah, follow him on socials. He gives so much gold for real estate agents. And on the screen right now is one of his students that took what Ricky taught him and he applied it to door knocking. And so I'm the type of person, like, I can't create something from scratch, but I could see somebody do something and then make it my own. And the coaching platforms that I'm on, I oftentimes see somebody do something and then I'll make it my own. And that's what we're doing here, is to give you what he's saying. Not that you would say word for word what he's saying, but at least get an idea of how you would show up to the door. Because what you don't want to do is wing it. You don't want to knock on the door and they answer the door and you're stuck for words and you're not sure what you're going to say. So you want to make sure that you're spring loaded, you practiced it in the mirror. It's like second nature to you. It's your language that you're speaking, and that you can door knock and be successful at it. So if we can play this video, one of his students is going to walk through what he does.
So I'll just go, I go knock, knock, knock. And then I'm going to try to get into the camera a little closer. They answer the door and I'm stepped back and I'm turned like this, acting like I'm doing something. I'm not doing anything, but this is non-threatening. When they see my shoulder, they're like, okay, this guy's he's not threatening. And then when I hear the door open, I step back, smile, and I go, hey, how's it going today? Good, good. Well, my name's Ben. I'm a local real estate agent. Don't worry, I'm not trying to get you to sell your house, I promise. If they smile there, Ricky, I know I'm going to have a normal conversation with them. And then I go, hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Reason for my knock is I provided you a market snapshot, a bio letter, customer reviews. That's for you. I close the gap. I give them something. Then I step back and I say, and I'm just seeing if there's anything that I could do for you now or in the future. And I shut up and I listen. 98% of the time they say, no, thanks, I'm good. I appreciate it. They posture towards the door. I say, I got you. Well, let me ask you this, then I'll get out of your hair. I even do I'm getting out of here soon. I got you. Well, let me ask you this, then I'll get out of your hair. If you were to make a real estate move, do you have an agent that you would use? And then they say no. And then this is where this is really important here because I was feeling a little too scripty. I just kind of step back, I take a breath and I say, because genuinely, this is how I feel. Ricky, I'd love to be able to help you in the future if you ever need anything. And they say, great, thanks. Okay, would it be okay if I stayed in touch with you? And they say, sure, Ben, that'd be great. When they say that, I look right down at my yellow pad. I don't look at them anymore. I say, wonderful, what's your first name? Thanks, Ricky. What's a good email address for you? And then after I get the email address, I just thank him. I say, thank you for being open-minded and friendly. I appreciate it. If you need anything in the future, real estate or not, you have my card. Give me a call. And if they want to shoot the shit a little bit, I sit there and talk to them. They invite me in. I have a drink or whatever, you know, I'll just talk to them, connect with them. So I know that was kind of chopped up and I was explaining what I do, but that's gotten me like 400 emails off the doors. Yeah, it's crazy. It took a while to learn that though.
Yeah. No, dude, it's just, you've got it down to an art where even down to the body language, when you knock, you just kind of step away.
Oh yeah.
You're very non-threatening. Then if they smile, you know, you got them, then you give them something. And then it's a really smooth conversation. I really love it, man. That's why I wanted to bring you back to go through that again for people that didn't hear it the first time.
I got crushed in my first neighborhoods. Don't get me wrong, crushed. I was using some whack scripts and I got beat
Just
up.
for education, I've never heard this. What script were you using?
I can't even remember, like, what 3 things are you looking for in an agent? They don't want to be talking to somebody at their door. So don't say that stuff. Act like you're getting out of there quick. I'm not taking up too much of your time. Just use your script, but just tweak it a little. And I'm not knocking the weather part either, but I've tried the weather on the doors. They don't want to talk about the weather because they're like, who is knocking on my door? Like, who is this? I don't know this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I take that objection right away, try to get them to laugh. Hey, I'm not trying to get you to sell your house, I promise. That's kind of like the weather part, you know, that breaks it.
Exactly.
Anybody have any questions on that one? Or want to point out anything he's saying there?
I just want to point out that this is Roberta O'Shea from Century 21 Frontier
Hi,
Realty.
Roberta.
Hi. How do you get past the fact that people have Ring doorbells these days and don't want to come to the door?
That I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know, but I will
Okay.
tell you this. It's a numbers game, right? So I loved what Michael Reed said at our event. Whenever he was talking to the young men that are in high school, he said, get a job selling phones at Verizon and get used to hearing no. And I don't know what these numbers are. Like, I don't know if it's every 20 doors you're going to get a yes. But my mindset behind it goes back to the agent in South Carolina, where she was like, if she helps one person, like that one person, she knocks on the door who's up against it, and she's able to sell their house and give them money to pay off their debt and get them back on their feet without them destroying their credit, without them going into foreclosure and losing their home and losing everything. And they don't understand that they have $70,000 worth of net worth in that home. That would be my driving force, is that I'm going to help somebody by knocking on these doors. And then I would just get my script together, something similar to what he's doing, but I would say it in my words. If you guys want help with what to say and how to say it, there's 2 books that I've read that I'd highly recommend getting. Personally, I listen to it on audio and buy the physical book, and I read the book while I'm listening to the audio. The first one is Yes, 50 Ways to Scientifically Be Influential. It's this book here. Yes, that's it, Mayor. The chapter's like 2 or 3 pages, and it really helps with the way the words come out of your mouth. The other one is Never Split the Difference. And so you can use these to help get your message across when you're knocking on the doors.
I actually, just to jump in here for Roberta's question, I think that just from personal experience, if you number one, try not to look like a real estate agent, right? Because if you have your name tag on or something like that, right, you're probably gonna have someone look at the ring. But I know I have the ring, and when I look at it, I hate answering the door. I'm the same as most people. I can't stand it because I don't know who it is. I'm like, they'll leave something if they need something. But sometimes your curiosity gets the better of you. So if somebody is standing there and they have their back to the ring and they just look, maybe professional, but not overly professional, my curiosity will kind of get the better of me. I might go. The other thing that I would recommend too is if you're in a neighborhood, don't go door to door, go like every fifth house, maybe the first time around. Cause I know for me, right, I'm looking at the ring and then I'm going, is he going right next door? Because as soon as you see someone go right next door, you're like, okay, they're selling something. But if you see somebody go to your door and then they go 5 doors down across the street, you're going, oh, wait a minute. Like, why isn't he going one house to the next? What is this? And just those couple little things might just pique people's interest to go, because they're watching you on the ring, right? Like that's what I do. That's what most people do. They're trying to figure out who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, why are you in their neighborhood. So if you kind of play that little game, I think it piques people's curiosity.
I have the ring too, though, and I agree with Tom to an extent, but I'll still answer my door, you guys. And I have a pretty long hike to go to the front door, and I still go. Or maybe bring a Girl Scout with you.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Get the cookies. You got me a
You
cookies.
could hand them cookies. You really
Yeah.
could. You could bring them something.
That's
I'm
a
buying
great
cookies
idea.
and selling my house all in one swipe.
Right.
Yep.
And if
Those
they
are
don't want to answer the door, Roberta, do you want to deal with them anyway?
I mean, I've gone door knocking in the past, and everybody is, every door that I went to actually had a Ring doorbell, and nobody has come to the door. And they also have cameras out there in the front saying, I'm watching you. Don't come to my property.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want them as a client.
No.
Yeah, this is Corey Sam. I'm with Keller Williams, and I actually did door-to-door sales for a year. And a lot of the people, I agree with whoever just said that, if they didn't come to the door or they spoke to me to the ring, I'd just be like, oh, sorry to bother you. I'll come back another time. Because you don't want to, when you're knocking doors, you don't want to waste your time. You really want to just look for the motivated, kind people who are open to having that conversation. I feel like the more pushy you are, there's the balance, right, between sales and pushing. But I also got a tip from a fellow knocker, and they actually would walk around with like a coffee mug. And he was like, even if nothing was in it, it kind of made you look more casual.
Wow.
So like a prop of some sort to kind of
Fill up in your pajamas and a coffee mug. There you go.
But that's just something
Blend
that
in.
I learned along the way. But don't waste your time on the people and don't get down, because more people are going to say no than yes. But you can find that 1 in a million client that could bring you 20 more clients just
Right. This
from being.
Ricky guy, didn't he say it was 98% he got no on?
Yeah, it's
pretty big. Yeah.
Who said 98% no's?
I thought Ricky said that when the guy asked him a question
Okay.
in his interview.
I didn't hear that. I heard that
It was
clip.
97 or 98%. He said he got a lot of no.
Even with the new script, or was that the old one?
I don't know.
Okay.
You're asking me a lot before noon.
Hey, April, I watched that clip 10 times. I did not hear that.
Okay.
I'm like, what am I doing? Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. And Corey, thank you for sharing that you were a knocker. I love that those tips. I knocked doors back in the day, but it wasn't anything professional. And so I can't give you those tips. But Corey, thank you for sharing that. The door knocking slide we're looking at now, it's the fastest way to get to the decision maker, right? There's no marketing budget. You just literally got to walk out and start knocking on the doors. And then stop hiding behind emails, text, and social media. I mean, that's been a theme for our team for a long time. So much gets lost in texting and emails. And it's like, just pick the phone up and have a phone call. And the team, we were talking about this a few months ago, and the team was joking. They're like, we know, Jeff, if we text you, a phone call is coming. Because I don't want to get lost in translation through text messaging. And I want to hear your voice and understand what you're actually saying so that I don't text or say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. The next slide. and then know your numbers, right? So track the number of doors that we we're just talking about right here. Track the number of doors versus the number of appointments that you get, so that once you know your numbers, you can set your goals, and then track the number of closings you get versus the number of appointments that you get. And so oftentimes what I hear from real estate agents is this: if you get me in front of a customer, I'm winning them. Right? Does everybody agree with that as a real estate agent on here?
Yeah.
When I'm meeting with agents, they're like, if you get me in front of a person, I'm winning. It's tougher over the phone, right? And we talk about this piece too. Everybody's a tough guy in a car, right? So like when you're in a car, people cut you off, they'll honk your horn, they'll flip you off, they'll do all these things. If you are walking down a sidewalk and that same exact person is on the sidewalk and you bump shoulders, what happens? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you, right? And so in face-to-face is different than over the phone or texting.
Well, yeah, because your body language, and when I have investors, I Zoom them so I can see their face, so I can communicate better and they can see mine.
April, I love that you said that. And 85% of communication comes from your tone, your body language, and your facial expressions, not the words. And so when you're texting, you lose that 85% of the communication piece. So that would make, that makes you more effective in person. And that's what we hear frequently from agents, is that if I was in person, I would win. The next slide. The leave behinds. Our prop stream. So in less than 5 minutes, you're speaking with the sellers. It's all-in-one driving app. It'll help you drive to the properties in the location that you're looking for that hit your filters. You can send text, you can call, or you can send direct mail from the apps. So the leave behinds. Now, I thought this was coming from a different YouTube video that I watched. What he did was, if he knocked and say, Corey, to your point earlier, they don't answer the door or they don't even talk to you through the Ring doorbell. What he was doing is taking a sticky note like this and just putting it on the front door, saying something like, hi, my name's Tim. I have someone that wants to buy your home. Call me at this number. Right? If you're interested in talking. The other thing he looked for is there a car in the driveway with a garage door? Because a lot of people don't come through their front door. So what he was doing is taking like a pamphlet or a brochure and putting the sticky note on it and sticking it in the door jamb, so that of the driver's side door, so that when they go to get in their car, they have to pull out the sticky note on the brochure that you stuck in the door jamb. And then, people will call you back from the leave behinds, and people want to deal with real people. That's to the point Tom was saying earlier. I used to wear a suit and tie every day from like 2006 to probably 2016, until my team looked at me and said, you look like a stuffy banker. Can you stop wearing those clothes? And if you look at today, I mean, it's one thing to be professional, but people just want to deal with real people, right? Not the glamour shots, or not the way it used to be, like when I came out of college in the mid-90s. The next slide. So action steps, take action, right? Like we talk about this all the time, that you could give away your deepest, darkest secrets that are making you successful, and most people will not implement them. The one strategy that we shared, I think it was back in October, was that Facebook Messenger strategy with the can't think of what it's called. Not the AVMs. CMAs, right. So like, it was just go to your Facebook Messenger with the green dot, because they're online right now. And you say, hey, I'm setting aside a couple hours later today for some of my favorite people, and I'm building out CMAs. What a CMA is a true evaluation of what your home is worth. And it's accurate based off of current sales. Listen, you don't need to be buying or selling a house right now to get one from me for free. Would you like me to build you one out? We've had about 18 agents that implemented that strategy and crushed. I got one agent that sent me a text and goes, thank you for the brilliant idea. I had to stop doing it because I'm too busy. But we had other agents going, Jeff, does it actually work? I'm like, if I charged you 10 grand for that script, you would have implemented it. But because we gave it to you for free, you didn't see any value in it. Just try it. I'm telling you, it works. It starts a conversation, which leads to business. And you're approaching people not when they're ready, willing, and able, and you're fighting with 100 other agents and lenders to win their business at that time. So download the app, map out your first route, and start writing your leave behinds. And then on the next Agent Academy, the thing we're going to cover is a listing package, right? How to look professional on the listings that you're winning by door knocking, by using PropStream or batch leads. April, you have a question? I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, what if we do something like a little printout with a QR code that takes them to a site we've set up to capture their info? Do you think, what would the ratio be of people who actually go into that QR code? What do you think?
Abigail, you want to speak to that?
Sure. Ask me one more time.
She was saying if you put a QR code on her leave behind,
yeah.
people could scan the QR code.
What do you think the ratio would be for people who actually interact with that QR code rather than writing them down a whole bunch of stuff that they have to read and then they have to input into their phone or whatever? They can just scan that rather than.
Yeah. So anything you do, you want to make it a less than a 4-step process. Actually, I think it might be less than 3. So anytime
So that would be wonderful then.
Yes, you want to make it as easy as possible. So for instance, an easy example is it is not wise to put a website link in a caption of a photo because no one's going to sit there. You can't just click on it, right? No one's going to sit there and type that into their browser. So
Correct. Right.
So anything that makes it streamlined and faster is what you want. So QR codes are so great.
Okay. So if we just put our name and hey, and maybe we could scribble just stopped by, and then already scan the code below and hear what I have to say or something.
You always want to give them a call to action also. So scan this for, ours says scan this for free resources. Actually I can show you, it's next. Just like that. Follow us.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Easy. It's linked to our link tree. So you have our social media, our YouTube, but also a ton of anything you want could go on there. So that's
right. But do you know what the ratio is of somebody actually fulfilling that and doing it versus, do whatever was his name, Zach, Nick, whatever that guy was doing?
I do not have any stats for you now.
No stats on that. Okay.
But this is what's everything is digital now.
Right.
And it's easy as possible. So this is the best thing to do for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and to this slide, that Abby had up, if you're not following us on social media, we put a ton of content out that you can share with your friends and family. And so I know there's some people on this call that were not at the live event. What we hear oftentimes from the news and from people that are watching news is that rates are high and purchase prices are high and I shouldn't buy right now. My niece, Summer, and the guy that rents from me both hit me with that same thought. And within 5 minutes, both of them were getting pre-approved, right? So we want you to be able to be spring loaded because at the event we showed Blackstone has raised, I think, $32 billion to buy up more single family resident homes. And for the past years, these ultra rich hedge fund companies have been buying single family resident homes. And they're not buying them because they're the Red Cross. They're buying them because they're profitable. And if you don't buy a home today, you're going to be subject to whatever the rents are in the future. And it may be to a point where you don't have your own living space and you have to share a space with another family, but just to be able to afford your housing payment. So my thing is this: buy a house now if you can afford the payment, right? So it's not right for everyone to buy a home right now, but if you can afford the payment, buy it. Because rates can only do one of 3 things. If they stay the same, should you have bought a house? Yeah, because you're going to start building equity today with the home appreciating in value. And every month when you make a principal and interest payment, that principal payment is a forced savings account for yourself. Plus you get, depending on your situation, maybe you get some tax deductions. If rates go up, should you have bought right now? Yes. If rates go down, should you have bought right now? Yes, because you got the great purchase price today, and then you'll get the rate that when it drops, because we're going to be spring loaded to refinance you and waive our lender fee so that you now have the great purchase price. And then you have the rate that is going to be the one that you want. So you have to, and the thing is, as a community, I know there's a bunch of different broker shops on here. We shouldn't be competing with each other. It should be a rising tide rises all ships. And we need to get this word out to our friends and our family. as soon as we possibly can in the best way that we possibly can to help them.
Question, I have a question.
Mhm.
You guys at the live did, I can't remember who, if it was you or the gentleman that was on your team that just spoke a minute ago. You talked about the cost of waiting. Do you guys have a video that you've already prepared for that you could send out to us? Because I think that's a very moving, informative video.
Yeah, we could record. It's easy enough. I can put one together in 30
I've been
seconds.
trying to duplicate it to a couple of my buyers and they just look at me like I have 10 heads. I'm not as good as you.
No, we can record a short video, less than
Perfect.
3
Thank you.
seconds for cost of waiting. Absolutely. Yep.
We already have a couple of those, Jeff.
Yeah, we could just shoot over to you.
Yeah, send them out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Everybody good? In the chat, we're here for you. So if you want us to hold you accountable, just let us know. And then we'll reach out to you in a week to see if you downloaded the app. If you've put your first map in, if you've knocked on one door. That's what we do for each other. We hold each other accountable. And when you're most successful is when you have an accountability partner. And we can help.
Sorry for being stupid, but I logged in late. What is the name of the app again? I didn't catch that.
Sure. One of them's Prop Stream.
Okay.
And the other one is Batch Leads.
Batch Leads. Okay.
And just pick one of them because they're similar. You just got to pick one and run with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. And then the last thing, this is a bonus thing. Tom's really good with the market. And so if you heard in the past week or so, there was a run on 3 banks, right? Has anybody not heard that? Or have questions about the run on the banks?
No questions, but
you did hear it?
yes. How can you not?
Right. What's crazy is some people haven't, right? So I just want to make sure everyone knows what we're talking about. Tom, can you speak to that? Like, what's going to happen here in the United States, or what's going to happen with the banking industry as a whole?
Yeah, so I had an agent actually ask me yesterday if where a customer's mortgage was going to be placed, and they were concerned about these banks closing. And right now, I think this has been a long time coming, so it's not really a surprise, right? Because the Fed has raised interest rates so much that this has really been in the works for the last year, and it's only now hitting the headlines. So I know a lot of people are concerned about it, but truthfully, I don't really think there's cause to be concerned. So number one is the Fed has come in and backstopped these banks almost immediately. Within 24 hours, they came in and backstopped these banks. So they're not going to fail. Everyone's going to get paid back in full for any bank failures that happen. Also, this has already been happening. It's just stayed quiet. But what's happening with the regional banks is exactly what happened to lenders. Rates went up and banks' portfolios went down in value. And a lot of lenders have actually closed up shop, a lot of the riskier, undiversified, bad management banks. And I actually heard something the other day that made a ton of sense. Rates were so low over the last 10 years that anybody could make money. And even in our industry, right? If you had no clue what you were doing as a loan officer, you could come in and make money. Now that things are getting harder and rates have gone up, you really have to know what you're doing to make any money and to be successful. And that's exactly what's happening with these banks. The banks who were just they had management who had no idea what they're doing, could make a lot of money and be really successful. And now all of a sudden with rates going up, it's getting harder for them and they're going, uh-oh, we don't know what we're doing. So it's really a fat cutting thing. It's not something that's going to make a big deal long-term or overall. But if there's one thing that I leave you with, it's what we talk about all the time, which is don't believe the news because a lot of it is very misleading. So I can give you the perfect example today. What's happening today? The market's open today and just started getting crushed. And the headline was that Credit Suisse, a Swiss bank, is in turmoil and they're failing. So the general public is going, oh no, another bank failure. Uh-oh, what do we do? This is becoming a huge problem. But here's why that's misleading. It hasn't made big headlines nationally, but in financial news, it has. Credit Suisse every single month for the last year and a half has been in the news because they've been failing for that long. So this simply just, and that's why it's misleading, and be careful when you look at the news, because this bank has been in bad shape and mismanaged and made bad choices for over a year now. But all of a sudden today, because we have this banking crisis, it's now a big deal and people are getting scared. So I just say, take everything with a grain of salt. We're going to see some pain. It's just going to happen. That's the natural way of things, but don't panic. I mean, our industry has been rough for what, 6 months, a year, something like that now. And we're all here. We all made it through. We're all, getting through it. So keep your nose to the grind. That's what we're doing on our end. And don't let the news bother you, because it's all just headlines. It's all just ratings. But at the end of the day, we're not going to see a banking crash. We're just not going to see this financial crisis. The Fed's already backstopping everything, and there are run on banks that are successful. There's run on small banks who are mismanaged, and most of them aren't even retail banks. They're business banks.
Good stuff. Great stuff, Tom. Any questions for Tom? We're at the 1 hour mark. That was fast. So we're here for you. If you guys have any questions, just text us, email us, call us, hit us in the private messenger or direct messenger, and we'll help you guys win. And we want to see everybody crushing it in 2023. Thank you for sharing this hour with us. We know it's a lot for you to be on a call for an hour. I hope it was worth it, and I hope you make money and you learn something from the class today that you invested in yourself for this 1 hour that's going to make you and separate you from the rest of the pack.